YouTube, my name is Mesa Sean, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. In this video, we're going to go over the latest Destiny 2 news, namely the This Week at Bungie for April 25th. In this update, we start to see some changes that will be coming with Season of Opulence. Season of Opulence will be the final content drop for the annual pass owners for Year 2 of Destiny 2. It also looks like the Season of Opulence is more than likely going to drop on June 4th, which is not great for me because I'll be traveling to Los Angeles for that week, but I'll tell you more about that at a later date or maybe even at the end of this video. If you enjoy my content, a like rating is very much appreciated, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Let's get into this one, folks. Something we need to talk about before we get into the This Week at Bungie is what Bungie plans to do to Spectral Blades, the Night Stalker subclass that everyone seems to love in the Crucible, or is running amok, killing everyone and annoying everyone in the Crucible. I'm a Warlock main, so I never really run Spectral Blades when it comes to PvP. Nice tether there, Shawnee. But let's go back to last week's This Week at Bungie, and let me go over real quick what Bungie is planning on right now doing to Spectral Blades. So the Sandbox team said, as you're all aware, Spectral Blades has been running amok in the Crucible. Below, you'll find a brief on our plans to rein it in a little bit. The two main issues are the length of the super, especially combined with the Gwynson vest, and the survivability of the player while it is active. To address this, we have made the following changes to hit those specific issues. And yes, I know it's Gwynson vest. I butcher all names for all these things. Alright, anyway, here's what they plan to do. First off, a damage reduction. Out of stealth, DR reduced from 60% down to 52%, not that much of a change. And then in stealth, DR reduced from 62% to 54.4%. Now they say here, previously the super had the highest damage reduction of all roaming supers, either in stealth or not. This change reduces Spectral Blades to have the lowest DR of all roaming supers while stealth is not active, and to be in line with the low end while stealth is active. While stealth, vision through walls, and fast shifty movements, this super ability actually has a lot of built-in survivability. This means a lower DR will demand better planning and positioning to survive for multiple kills, which lines up well with the fantasy of the path. They continue with, this is also a first step towards trying out a roaming super with lower damage reduction, so let us know what you think. Now with regards to the super duration, super length out of stealth with no attacking is going to go from 17.5 seconds to 14.5. Super length in stealth with no attacking will go from 26.6 seconds to 23.5 seconds. Light melee cost increased by 50%. Here's the rationale. Basically, we reduced the duration by 3 seconds overall. We want you to feel like you have time to plan in stealth, with the understanding that you need to be deliberate and swift with your strikes. Additionally, we increased the cost of the light melee attack. It may seem like a lot on paper, but previously it was almost nothing. Now you need to think just a little bit before spamming away. We didn't want to make it cost too much, and it's the only way to chase people down, but it did need to have at least a small visible cost to make it more of a choice. For the exotic chest piece, the Gwynson vest, and I'm probably still butchering the name, we are looking at the vest now and playing with some changes. We want to see how the initial changes go. If we decide to change the vest, well, you'll see it in Season 7. So just wanted to bring you up to date on that because I did not cover it last week. Let me know out there, you hunters, what do you guys think of it? Are you a Spectral Blade spammer? I don't know, for myself, when I play PvP, I'm always going to run Warlock, but if I do play my Hunter, I'm going Tether Night Stalker because I need to constantly go invisible, and yes, I know you can go stealth with Spectral Blades, but I'm just used to dodging and going invisible. Now let's go back to the This Week at Bungie for the 25th, and it looks like they're going to be doing some balancing to the Not Forgotten and Luna's Howl. And I have to be frank, as an average PvP filthy casual, those two guns well, that and the Recluse too, kind of ruin it for me, guys. As an average player, I go into PvP quick play, and that's all that kills me. And no, I don't have those weapons. I don't have the time. Time to grind those, of course. I feel like Destiny 2, in my opinion, for me as a player, there's too many PvE activities for me to do rather than jump into PvP. At the end of Destiny 1's life cycle, well, all I did was play PvP, and PvP was one of the most enjoyable things for me. But in Destiny 2, I don't know. You know what? I can make a whole video on the things that I don't like about the Crucible, but let's stay on target and talk about what they plan to do to Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten. So let me read this verbatim. At the release of Destiny 2 Forsaken, 2 Pinnacle Weapons became available for players to earn in the competitive playlist in the Crucible. Each weapon has a unique quest requiring mastery of hand cannons to complete. There has been a lot of feedback on how the Pinnacle Crucible hand cannons stand above most other weapons in the sandbox. Today we'll be going through some of the balance changes planned for Season of Opulence. We wanted to start this conversation early to ensure players understood that the change was coming. Even if they were still on path to acquiring these rewards, here's the Destiny dev team to walk us through the plan changes. Here's what they have to say. We wanted to give you a preview of some of the plans we have to balance Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten in Season of Opulence. After significant amounts of feedback, internal discussion, and playtesting, we've decided to adjust how these hand cannons work. For some players, these weapons could represent a significant investment of time and the personal improvement needed to acquire them, or just use a recovery account. When tuning, we attempt to take into account the time commitment players make to acquire weapons and balance that against how those weapons affect the different game modes. Magnificent Howl, the unique perk on these weapons, is too effective. It works in a neutral setting and rewards players for getting precision shots, something they would have done naturally. As a result, the time to kill of the game shifts to meet this new benchmark, and players feel that the majority of primary weapons in Destiny 2 cannot compete with these Pinnacle weapons. Our current plan is to make Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten the only 150 RPM precision hand cannons. They will maintain some aspects of their current behavior while taking on the firing speed and damage of the 150 RPM hand cannons. Magnificent Howl will be adjusted so that it increases only body shot damage, resulting in a 2 headshot, 1 body shot kill. Magnificent Howl will still give an advantage due to requiring less precision hits for optimal time to kill. What do you think of the changes, those who went through the quest? Now, I'm on the fence about this one because, I like to be an advocate for everyone that plays the game, whether you're PvE or PvP, and I agree that there's not enough things to do for PvP players, so they go on the quest lines, they get these Pinnacle weapons, then they come into quick play and they slaughter people like me, but at the same time, there's no Trials of the 9. I still think they should go back to 3v3 elimination, Trials of Osiris, but there's nothing to do, so they get their Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten, and then they come into quick play, and they go against people like me. And what do people like myself do? I just end up rage quitting, because for me it's just not a fun player experience. So should I then force myself to go through that lengthy quest line? I probably should, but I just don't want to. I'd rather just go play PvE. So there's that balance of, well, you know what? I'm not even going to say that there's a balance of, I actually preferred it like in Destiny 1. There was no Pinnacle weapons. You just had to play the game and hope that you got a god roll on whatever hand cannon it was. I mean, for me, it was my god roll, Lord High Fixer, and that's what you had to play with, you know? Here it's like you almost have to have one of these Pinnacle weapons to be semi-competitive in PvP. I don't know. I'm just going off on a tangent here. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Let's move on to the Revelry. More importantly, orbs. So last week, the Revelry orbs were disabled in Gambit, Gambit Prime, Raids, and competitive Crucible due to a non-stop guitar error that players were getting. So Bungie says this: as multiple sources of progress for the Verdant Light competitive triumph are no longer available, the team has been investigating a change to the requirements for the completion. As the above listed activities no longer provide progress, those things like Gambit, Gambit Prime, Raids, etc., players are required to create 200 orbs by defeating other Guardians with precision kills in Quick Play Rumble and the featured Crucible playlist. This week that playlist is Iron Banner, for example. At this time, our current plan is to reduce this requirement to only 20 orbs. So we only have one more week of the Revelry, but they say here this change will be deployed after the Revelry ends in Destiny Update 2.2.2. Players who meet the requirement of 20 orbs will have the Triumph autocomplete after downloading the patch, which will also unlock the Party Harder Triumph and the Stimulant Spring Emblem reward if all other Revelry Triumphs have been completed. And then lastly for this news video, next week there's going to be a Shattered Throne ride-along. And that's where the Bungie developers, they do a live stream from twitch.tv/Bungie, where they kind of take you through a certain activity and the developers talk about, well, how they created it. So next week, Monday the 29th of April at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, they'll be doing the Shattered Throne ride-along. You want to go to twitch.tv/Bungie to tune into that. That is going to do it for this video, guys. Next week, I'm going to be away in Los Angeles at the Borderlands 3 event, and I'm psyched because one, I used to play a ton of Borderlands 2 and even the pre-sequel, and I've been playing a ton of Borderlands 2 recently. And I'm going to be streaming live from LA right here on YouTube. I'll have a full video with all the details of what I can and can't show and so forth, and I'm probably going to need your help as to what you guys want to see. But I'll have more information about that next week. So that's it, guys. Leave me a hashtag made it to the end if you did make it to the end, and do me a favor, drop a like in this video only if you see fit. Follow me on Twitter at Mesa Sean. Check out my stream, usually and always on YouTube, and that's it. I am out of here like Vladimir.